Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Soulivity Today, broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and whether you're at home, driving, or at work, we're always glad you're here with us. We have such an amazing show for you today. Now, when the noted playwright Hilary DePlano was asked about a new year, she stated this: "We all get the exact same 365 days. The only difference is what we do with it." And I couldn't agree more. You know, the last 365 days of our online show, first called This Morning with Soulivity, now Soulivity Today, has been a tribute and a great labor of love, joy, and passion. You know, we covered so many different topics over the last year, you know, from our first show talking about relationships and marriage to most recently a show bringing information about the history and cultural aspects of the winter solstice. It has been a fantastic time. Now, the truth is, we wanted to bring to you, you know, news and information that would empower you each and every day, you know, to help support you in manifesting your best life today. So we're going to take some time today and look back at just a few of the many stories and topics we covered over the last 12 months. We're going to begin with one of our shows from when it was called This Morning with Soulivity. You know, we begin in February of 2023, where it was on the sixth day of that month, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake occurred in the southern Turkey border near the northern border of Syria. Now, this quake was followed approximately 9 hours later by a magnitude 7.5 earthquake located just about 60 miles to the southwest. The first earthquake that hit Turkey was the most devastating to hit that earthquake-prone region in more than 20 years. And it was just about as strong as one that was in the late 1930s, which was the most powerful recorded there at the time. Now, we had the pleasure of speaking with my dear friend, Shana Bakateria, who is a France 24 foreign correspondent and who was actually on the scene as rescue efforts were underway. And we had a fascinating discussion that was also painful for her as a reporter to see so many people in the devastation and rubble of what they used to call home.
Teresa, this is just, I'm glad that we have her and we're
I agree.
connecting with her because, again, these are things that I think most people here in North America specifically, here she is.
The thing that's the strongest thing that I saw was a positive thing. It was near, the car was parked near, obviously, broken buildings or whatever, and all of a sudden there was all this movement, and all these rescuers brought out like a little boy. He was probably like 4 to 6 years old, and I saw him come out, and he was unscathed, and or at least he seemed unscathed, and that was just a really beautiful moment. But at the same time, like, I went to this other city 2 days ago, Adiyaman, and that's been really badly hit, as I said earlier, and there I smelled rotting corpses for the
Oh,
first time.
wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
in case you're wondering what that smells like, it smells like quite pungent BO.
Oh
And you're like, gosh,
Oh,
what was that whiff? And then you figure out, oh my God. And so there's this other thing which is crazy that I would never have thought about, is that with these collapsed buildings, like there's all this rubble and there's all this dust, so much
Right.
dust.
Right.
And
Right.
people are like going through the rubble and there's so much dust like in the rubble. And when they're going through it, they're making even more dust. And like you're literally choking, like you can't breathe because there's so much dust around you.
Wow.
And that you're breathing in and stuff. And in fact, in one place, we literally saw water cannons being sprayed on ruins so that to like kind of bring down that dust. And actually, it did make a really big difference. But I can only imagine that if you're stuck underneath and that you get this water and that it's already really cold, then that's not obviously a good idea either. Other things that really stuck out in my mind, so many people just breaking down in front of you. You ask them what life, what happened, what they're going through, and they can't even speak. They're just they're big men, families, fathers, um, everybody just, people sitting around campfires, trying to keep warm and, sticking close to each other, friends, neighbors, and crying,
Mm-hmm.
it's really, yeah, it's really, really heavy. And I'm having trouble right now following like a line of thought, because it's just like a mosaic of images of last night. I dreamt that I was not I was, but I dreamt of people under the rubble. Like it gets to you. Like it's the
wow.
hardest thing I've ever seen in my
Wow.
reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even a friend who has covered several war zones was telling me yesterday that it's the hardest thing for her as well. It's just she's never had she's never been to a place of this just emotional, this charge.
Wow. Shauna, let's stay with that. Let's stay with that line, because I think I want to let people into your world, because I think a lot of times journalists just, they're seen as, oh well, you're just reporting on the news, and all you're supposed to do is just give us the facts and figures, and then you as a journalist aren't seen as also a human being. So let us into that world a little bit.
Well, I
And
I
yeah.
became a mother 2 years ago. I have a little girl.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, she's
yeah.
super
She's so
cute.
cute. Oh my
She's
God.
very cute, but she's in Istanbul right now with her nanny. Hopefully we're gonna get to go back to Istanbul tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, sorry. I it's been really hard, as I don't know. I'm not a super emotional person in
Mm-hmm.
general.
Uh-huh.
But it's just so human. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
God, this could be me. This could be my family. This could be my friends. This could be my child. What if, you have instances of like a baby coming out alive and like all their whole family dead. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna
Right.
happen to that baby?
Yes, yes.
Right. Right.
And like there are family here is something that's very, very, very important. So people have family, except if you're Syrian, of course, or like another refugee. That's a
Right.
whole different story.
Right.
Um, and the Syrian issue is just also, I mean, horrific. Like the Turkish government has decided to send the corpses of Syrian refugees that died in the earthquake in Turkey back to Syria. It's like, oh, well, they lived on your soil and they died on your soil, but now that they're dead, you don't want to bury them on your soil.
Wow.
Or like it's just, or like Turkey's been so overwhelmed by its own problems that it hasn't really sent any help to Syria. So like Syria has been really, really hurting, especially like after 12 years of war. But the fact is that as on a human level, you can't help when you have someone in front of you who's literally begging you to help them get their mother out of.
Mm, mm,
I have never cried during a mission, this much. I mean, this is even like sometimes during a live broadcast,
mm-hmm.
you just think when you describe what you see, and in describing what you see, you can't help but but kind of break down, it's just, it is really, it's really difficult. And then you're like, what, I mean, it's sympathy, but I haven't lost anyone.
Right.
I haven't lost my house. I'm going to get to go home and take a bath after this. Like,
Mhm.
this is just, it's really, it's really insane.
Wow.
Listen, we're going to take a quick break, but don't worry, we have even more of Soulivity today and our year in review coming up. So stay tuned. Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoy the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. Hello, we're back with more here on Soulivity today, and we're taking some time to look at just a few of the many stories and topics we covered over the last 12 months. Our next journey back in time this year includes a chat with a special guest, poet Chantel Frazier, about societal misconceptions of raising African American youth and washing away the idea of cycle bruised communities never waking up to healing themselves. It was a really emotionally powerful discussion, which included some heartfelt memories from Chantel. Here's an excerpt of this amazing conversation with her.
And I'm remembering, I don't know, it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago when we connected, and, you
Yeah.
were just in your early 20s, right? And, you just already had
Yes.
vision. But I know, and I think you'll be fine with me sharing, like, because we talked about how even with this vision and this drive that you had, it was still difficult for you to push forward with
Yes.
that and to focus on yourself and feel maybe this is projection, but maybe feel worthy of taking the time to follow your dream. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to talk a little bit about that, and maybe for people to understand, but maybe there's somebody else out there who needs to be inspired and hear, that you can get through some of those distractions maybe.
Yes. I count them as distractions. And I remind myself that where, let me see, I would say that a lot of people don't support if it's different, if it's not something that they're used to, if it's not something that's liked overall by everyone. So what helped me to kind of get rid of those distractions, because it wasn't easy, I had to tunnel myself. I had to actually kind of like be in tunnel vision. I remember taking my my notebook with me, my composition notebook with me to a friend's house, and I was working on my poetry, like I'm gonna write a book, and she kind of was like, "What are you doing with that?" And I'm like, "I'm getting my things together. I'm gonna write a book. I'm putting my poems together." And she was like, "Oh, okay," and kind of brushed it off, not because it was something that she wouldn't be into, but just because it wasn't something that she was used to.
Mhm.
So I would say a lot of people, well, for myself, I had to separate myself from a lot of people, and I couldn't allow myself to let someone else's failed dreams or um, just kind of like a no real direction as to what it is that they wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
um, interfere with my dreams or my wishes, because like it's like I keep things alive within me.
Mm-hmm.
um, Even though I might put it to the side, it's like the idea of me coming out on top or me having success. I had this thing where I kind of like 11 I always wish for success, and they used to be like, don't tell anybody your wishes. But now that I'm older, I'm seeing that, well, maybe me putting that out there, it really worked, you know?
Right.
Mhm.
And now that I'm saying it out loud and proud, like I wish for success, it's starting to, I would say, it's unfolding. Not because I've just been wishing, but because I've put in the footwork. I haven't
Mm.
Mhm.
started just now. It's like it's been time and overtime. So yes, 2017 and 18 is when I started writing the book, but I stopped and I had to like get that inspiration in 2019 when I met Sheila to go back into it with the Duna,
Wow.
because they helped
Mhm.
me as well. So
Wow.
then
Right.
I pushed it through to 2020, and I sent it in and the world stopped. And when the world stopped, I was like, wow, I was just about to get my book off the ground. But now we're in 2023. Yeah. So now we're in 2023, and it's like everything was happening. It's happened for a reason. And I just feel like for me, I didn't give up. I didn't
Mhm.
stop what I was doing or stop at one pinnacle. I just kept raising the bar. And it's like once I set one goal, I set another goal. So it's like putting aside anything outside of me and focusing on who I am and who I want to be. And I'm still reaching that. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Um, a question really quickly before we come to. I really want. I don't even want to take a break. I want to get to some of your poetry next.
Yeah.
Um, where did this wealth of resiliency and perseverance come from for you?
I would say it came from my mother.
Mm.
Mm, mm,
I would say watching her throughout her life and the stories that she's told me have, I would say, propelled me in a sense. It's like, or she'd be like, I always wanted to write, but I couldn't do it, things like that. Or
yeah.
her
Mhm.
telling me like, I used to want to get into that, but I'm glad you're doing it. It's like that feeling of, you know what, maybe she passed the baton to me and I'm able to kind of finish this race, but it's like a piece of her is finishing it with me. Like this is
Wow.
it's a marathon, and we're on our way. Um,
Mm.
Wow. Wow. Well, to that point, do you have a poem that you would like to share about that, either about that experience or another kind of experience? Do you have a poem that you would like to share with us?
I guess I can read my single parent poem.
Okay, perfect.
So this poem is about my mother, and basically about how she was raising her children. My older brother, he was, uh, I would say, more or less in the streets more. Um, so here's a poem.
Mm.
Okay. Being a single parent with children in high school isn't so easy. This is the turning point where most teenagers found out life wasn't so peachy. Reality hits for most of us at a ripe age. Like, if I don't go to work, these bills won't get paid. I'm a single parent working 3 different shifts to make ends meet. So please don't look down on me if my children are running the streets. It's not that home isn't where I want to be, but the fact that no one else will do it for me. 3 personalities, 3 different needs: emotional, physical, and mental. It's my job to divide and provide, giving them not always what they want, but always the necessity. I give my guidance through my struggle, smile through my pain, leaving myself enough personal time to cry in silence,
Mm.
overworking myself to balance out my wealth, putting aside my health. It's hard when it's only you, but as a single parent, it's just what you have to do. And that's it.
Wow.
It still brings tears to my eyes, even though I've heard
Ooh.
it. You're,
I'm over here holding it back.
Listen, we're going to take another break, but when we come back, we have even more of Soulivity today as we look back over the last 365 days, a year in review of 2023. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit soulivity.com now.
Do you see me kneeling on this dual roller called Parasetter? It's actually comfortable because of this channel and the softness of the special foam. It feels like my kneecaps are being massaged. When I lie down, my spine is housed in this channel, while the convex rollers massage my muscles. They let go and lengthen. There's a traction effect from my head on the headrest and my mid-back from the rib wrap, which hugs me. When I start the breathing sequence, I feel calm because my cortisol levels are dropping. Lower cortisol means bye-bye constant hunger. Parasetter is 40 inches long and much more comfortable than old-style rollers, but it weighs only 10 ounces. Parasetter, just like Pilates was, is no longer an insider secret. Do yourself a favor. Reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Defeat stress. Lying, sitting, kneeling, or standing. This unique patented roller helps everyone.
Hello, we're back with more here on Soulivity today. We're taking some time to look back at just a few of the many stories and topics we covered over the last 12 months. Now, in early August of 2023, a series of wildfires broke out in the U.S. state of Hawaii, but predominantly on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires prompted evacuations, caused widespread damage, and killing almost 100 people while leaving 4 people missing in the town of Lahaina on Maui's northwest coast. Now, our team at Soulivity decided that we wanted to send some love and support to those living on the island and dealing with such devastation. We wanted to give a tribute to the aloha spirit that lives there. Here's a bit of this amazing conversation with, the great friends and great co-hosts that are on our show.
Sheila, you had something very important to talk about with your family member who lives in Maui, correct? They're in Maui.
in Lahaina, yeah.
In Lahaina, in the town that was devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, some of the experiences that he shared with you?
Yes, and as I'm preparing to say this, I'm realizing I didn't ask his permission, so I won't use names and I'll be, but it is important. So I'm talking about my perspective of it because Dr. Chanel, you were mentioning how it's hard to feel it sometimes when you're just listening to it on the news and there may be a disconnect. One of the things I've done is when I search it, I search for stories not in the news, but just of people's stories that come up. And that's given me a deeper connection. But for me, so this is, a soul nephew, a friend that I've grown up with, and he's called me Aunt Sheila since he was young. But there was this time where we didn't know the first night where his mom reached out, not knowing if he was alive, knowing
Mm.
that the Red Cross had said that his house was burnt to the ground along with the whole area,
Wow.
and we didn't know where he was. So there's that experience that then when we find out that he escaped into the mountains, it's exactly like what was spoken earlier. Like, okay, he's alive. Nothing else matters. That's
Right.
it.
Mhm.
He got out with his dogs. He's
Mhm.
alive. And then there's this realization that he escaped into the mountains. He didn't know where he was. He's a young man with two dogs and only his truck, and the fires are still going beneath him. He's watching them. So
Wow.
what happens next? And in that devastation, there's still this, I'm okay, mom. I'm a survivor. I know what to do. And the next thing we hear, I think a few hours later, the next day, he's driven down the mountain to see where he is, and he's found a small Walmart. And in the store, as they're on the phone with him, and he's kind of trying to process what he needs to survive, he starts talking to people in the store, and they've decided
Wow.
to team up because they're in the same boat. So now there's
Mhm.
a community of 3 or 4 that are going to look out for each other. And then the next day, the new news is that a older couple has taken him in for a couple days and said he could stay in their home for a couple days. And then a friend of a friend has let him stay in the next home, given him a bed for a couple days.
Mhm.
And there's this up and down of complete devastation to him sharing more and more about how his heart is opening. He feels
Mhm.
so connected to the community. He's helping out even as he's in devastation. And then the news, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he texted me, and he's a chef in a hotel there that has been supporting people, and finally they had a room that he could come to with his dogs to live in the hotel for a
Mhm.
period of time as he cooks for the people in the
Mhm.
community. So no longer
Mhm.
is it a hotel for tourists, it's they're cooking for the people who have no food, no money. And he's so excited to be in that space of turning it around. And I was talking to
Wow.
him about how, the phoenix rising, right? And I know I
Yeah.
hadn't really paid attention. Everyone was saying that, but for himself, because he feels in some ways better than he ever has. There's those
Mhm.
Mhm.
highs of how much love and open-heartedness there is and how much trauma and sadness and grief going on.
Mhm.
He texted me a picture of himself holding a a bag that says Maui Rising with a phoenix. And I
Mhm.
have to
Wow.
tell you, I have not seen his
Woo.
face so delighted, so pure, so happy in a long time, even during the trauma. So it is
Mhm.
that spirit is alive there.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. I mean, Chanel, isn't this what we want? Isn't this what we want?
Absolutely. Absolutely,
'Cause-
Brian. And that aloha spirit. And Sheila, you were just saying, he's like on a high from being able to give and to see perhaps to witness the effects of him cooking and nourishing people who, might not have food otherwise. It reminds me of just a brief situation that happened to me. You talk about this high of this aloha spirit. I was just, picking up a to-go order in a restaurant, at the carryout station, and this young lady comes in, and she had already put her order in, and she was getting ready to pay, and she said they must have told her the total, and she said, "Well, I'm going to need to take the lemonade off." And so, there's like 3 or 4 people, sitting there waiting for their food. So we're all hearing this while we're all looking down at our phones. And then, she started counting out $1 bills to pay. And
Uh-huh.
before I knew anything, I sprung up to the counter. My husband's going to know that that, oh God, yeah, she does things like that. Immediately sprang up to the counter and I said, and I asked her, Sheila, permission. I said, would you allow me to buy you lunch? And she said, no, 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 I've
Wow.
got it. I said, hun, and I think I called her hun or honey, let me treat you, okay? And she did let me treat her. But clearly that was a situation where she was in need. She was probably hungry, I would have, obviously. And so just that being able to give and the way that I felt after was beyond comparable for what the little that I did. And
Wow.
so that spirit is alive and it's almost innate. Like I didn't even hesitate. I didn't even think. I was at the counter before my feet knew it had arrived. And so that opportunity, in spite of, us going through devastating times, there's still that opportunity to give and to love and to have that aloha spirit, Brian.
Well, everyone, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we have even more of Soulivity today. And, as we talk about a year in review of 2023, we'll be right back in about 2 minutes. All of the Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us, a place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
Hello there. We're back with more here on Soulivity today, where we are taking some time to look back at just a few of the many stories and topics that we've covered on our show over the last 12 months. Now, our last story features one of the newest additions to the Soulivity Today family, who, as a guest analyst, Asha Rengappa is an assistant dean and senior lecturer at the Yale University's Jackson School of Global Affairs. And she was a welcome sight when it came to understanding, just the sheer amount of legal news in our country I mean, it's been a wild ride trying to follow the range of criminal and civil cases this year. But with her needed help, having more insight into these events has been much easier to digest. Now, here's a clip from our latest discussion about the criminal and civil cases involving the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I can't imagine the ramifications behind in the future if the Supreme Court basically ruled in favor of Donald Trump, saying basically that he's above the law. And now what is that? Where does that go with other politicians and other presidents that come down the line? Imagine if he's reelected and this is the president that has been set for him even after he's out of the executive branch, you know, as a private citizen, you know,
Yeah,
that's scary to me. That's
100%. And just to simplify this for your listeners, Trump's
okay.
argument is basically the Nixon maxim: if the president does it, it's not illegal. It is basically an argument that whatever the president does, he is above the law. And if you're absolutely right, if that gets adopted, not only is that anathema to our system of justice, but it is going to be carte blanche for Trump
Yeah.
to do anything he wants in a second presidency. And,
Yeah.
you know, this is all of a piece of his legal theory for everything, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, he believes that when you are president, you're above the law. If you look at some of his executive privilege arguments, he believes that when you leave office, you're still entitled to the powers of the presidency. Basically, he believes that the president can never be held accountable, and that once you've held the office, you
Right.
hold those powers for life. That's kind of if you put
Right.
all of his different legal arguments together.
Right.
So it's like he's
Right.
already acting as though he's president for life, slash king slash dictator.
Right.
And if the Supreme Court were to put a rubber stamp on that, we are in big, big trouble.
Well, you know,
I know it's only Monday, but I
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want to start
yeah,
everybody's week off with this, but it is true.
but it's true. But it is absolutely true. And again, that's why we're covering this, right? That's why we're
Yeah.
covering these kind of stories, because of the fact that if we don't, and we're not having really rich conversations within our communities, within our little social groups and our tribes around things like this, we can't make informed decisions when we go to the ballot box, right?
Yeah.
Which is where our power lies, right? In electing officials that absolutely represent our value sets, our morals, and that kind of thing. And is the president a king? The president's never been a king. You know, it
No.
just does not exist. So speaking of kings, our next story comes from USA Today, where again where they are tackling reporting about the latest, about the other side of the ongoing legal woes for former President Donald Trump in the New York civil trial. So much to talk about when it comes to Old 45. Asha, what do you believe we should know about this particular trial at this stage of the trial? Because it correct me if I'm wrong, they've already gone through basically a hearing where Donald Trump and the Donald Trump organization has been found guilty of whatever the charges were in the civil case. And now they're moving to the punishment phase. And so now they're arguing over how should the company and the officers of the company be punished according to New York state law. Is that correct?
It's almost correct. So
Okay, all right. I'll take the
yeah,
almost. I'll take the almost.
yeah. And I think it's a common, it's a slight misunderstanding. And again, this is just because of the legal complexities of civil
Gotcha.
lawsuits. So there were 7 civil actions that were brought against Trump for various forms of business fraud and falsified documents. What the judge ruled was on the first count that Trump, as a matter of law, and the Trump organization falsified business documents.
Okay.
And he imposed a
Okay.
few penalties which have been stayed, which have been put on hold, including canceling his business certifications in the state of New York. For counts 2 through 7, the statutes require proving that not only was there fraud and falsification, but that it was done intentionally. So right now, the trial is about whether Letitia James, the state attorney general, can prove that not only were these documents and records being falsified and, to insurance companies, et cetera, but they were all doing it knowingly, that everybody knew what was going on, and, that this was
Okay.
a deliberate effort to defraud. And
Okay.
if they can prove that, then the penalty will be much greater, obviously, if you were intentionally deceiving as opposed to, you're just a sloppy bookkeeper, for example, right?
Right.
So what happens is if they were intentionally engaging in this fraud and falsification, then they benefited illegally, right? Like they made profits illegally. And so what Attorney General James wants to do ultimately, if she prevails, is to disgorge them of their profits, which means that not only does Trump would not be able to do business in New York, which is what she wants to say also, but that he has to give money back. And so they would calculate over all the years how much that he's built, the state of New York, for example, and lost tax revenue, and how much he's made the insurance companies, frankly, lose money and lost premiums, because if they understood the actual risk they were taking on with him, they would have charged him more, right? And
Wow.
yeah, so that's one of her theories of the case, is when he overinflated the values of his property to insurance companies, they thought he was a lower risk. They thought their collateral was
Right.
worth more. So
Right.
they would have given him a lower premium.
Right.
So they,
Right.
or the loan companies, like they would have charged him a higher interest rate. So, in other words, these companies have lost money as well as the state of New York, and that he would have to be disgorged. So there's a huge potential financial penalty for him here. And this is why he's freaking out. And I think that sometimes this case gets overlooked because the criminal
Yeah.
stuff is a lot sexier, right? Like we like to watch Law and
Right.
Order. We like to imagine,
Right.
Trump in an orange jumpsuit or whatever, which I don't think is going
Right.
to happen. But honestly, him losing his livelihood and what makes his brand, which is his wealth or the perception of his wealth,
Yeah.
I think it goes to the heart. I think it could be a much greater penalty than any kind of criminal liability for him, because it's something that's so visible and so visceral and,
Right.
gets to the heart of who he is. So I think that he's freaking out. And I think that this also has implications for a second Trump presidency, because if Trump has to pay a huge financial penalty, goes broke, can't do business anymore, then I think we need to think about how he's going to approach the presidency. He already treated the U.S. Treasury as his personal piggy bank.
Right. Right.
If you think that that's
Right.
not going to happen when he no longer has money,
Right.
if you think that he won't see relationships with other countries around the world as purely transactional,
Yeah.
and figure out ways of profiting personally from those,
Right.
when, because he no longer will have his, Trump organization.
Right.
I think that's, and that is a hallmark of authoritarian leadership, right?
Yeah.
Is how
Right.
can I, use this position to my own personal benefit, not to the public's benefit. And
Right.
he's always been that way, but I think that it would be exacerbated if he feels desperate. Like if he can't get loans from anywhere, well, guess where he's going to go for loans? And what are those
Right.
countries going to ask for in return?
Well, everyone, listen, we're going to take another short break, but we'll be back with more of Soulivity today in just a minute. So stick by and we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Would you like to be one of the first people to experience mental freedom? Mental freedom is a coaching practice with 6 core principles: improving hope, self-efficacy, optimism, resilience, and general well-being. Mental freedom only takes 6 sessions. It is designed to give you the tools you need to help yourself. It can help with any situation: relationship problems, past trauma, career decisions, parenting challenges, addiction, and mental health concerns. Incorporating the mental freedom framework into your life will deliver an approach to master any situation and a pathway toward achieving inner peace. Mental freedom provides the information and tools that you need to grow and be bigger than anything that ever happens to you. So if you're looking for one-on-one or a group coaching program that will allow you to address any situation that comes up in your life with practical tools to give you more peace and joy, then join the Mental Freedom Program in Soulivity's Aspire Academy. There are very limited spots available, so don't delay. I hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And welcome back to Soulivity today. Why don't we get to some shameless plugs here, where we talk about all the amazing things that are happening here at Soulivity. Of course, want to first talk about our amazing website at soulivity.com, where we have some really great features. One is about, multi-talented writer and producer Dwayne Johnson Cochran. We're talking about his latest film, Heist 88, which is Showtime's highest ranking original film of 2023. It stars, multi-talented actor Courtney Vance, and it's also co-produced by Vance and his, award-winning wife, Angela Bassett. You don't want to miss Heist 88. Go check it out on Paramount Plus and Showtime today. Also, there's a great feature with actor Keith L. Williams, who is, started his own healthcare brand, Slick by Keith. He started it when he was only 15 years old, everyone. I mean, that's kind of amazing. And now he's also intending on expanding it into, other things around skincare and other hair care products. So go check those articles out. You will not be disappointed at all. Also, I'm going to remind you about something that's coming up at the beginning of the year. You don't want to miss this absolutely free online experience. It's 7 days of joy, rest, and reweaving wholeness, which is in collaboration with 7 Days of Rest. There's going to be, over the 7 days, different classes that will be for an hour, featuring, fantastic teachers. And it's a great way to begin the year by doing something every single day from January 1st through January 7th. Now, you can reserve your seat. You want to make sure you reserve your seat, because even if you are not able to make it, you can always go back and watch the recordings. The recordings will be available. So you want to do that and go to joykeepers.org/7 days to reserve your seat today. Also, want to remind you to follow us on social media, where you can learn more about everything that's happening with Soulivity, as well as tips and how-tos and special exclusive content that you can only find on our social media sites. Remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube so you can know when this show and other fantastic shows go live. So listen, running out of time, but just thank you for this year in review. I want to thank all of you for this fantastic year. Got more fantastic things happening for 2024 in the new year. So stick with us as we help and support you in creating a better life today with passion, purpose, and high quality living. Until next time, this is Brian Westley Johnson saying thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Actually, we'll see you next year.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.